Hi everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and the topic of this video today is calling the quarters. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because a friend of mine from YouTube, Rob, I'll put the link to his YouTube channel in the information section of this video, sent me an email a little while ago asking about calling quarters, and I'm going to read you the question or questions. When working or calling the quarters, the guardians, the elemental beings, angels, whatever you work with, while building and casting of the sacred space of the circle, do you work to get to know these beings on a personal level? Do you take personal action to build a relationship of sorts with them? Do you give them offerings, gifts, or do you simply call them for the working of the circle and nothing more? And I know Rob's trying to start a dialogue about this, and I'm sure he asked other YouTube pagans. But I thought it was a great topic and I wanted to be part of this conversation. So basically, personally, I do build a relationship with the quarters. When I call the quarters within my circle, in my personal practice, I call the spirits of the direction and the guardians of the element. And the only other thing I would call is the watchtowers. That's all I really work with when I cast my circle. I don't work with elemental beings and I don't work with angels, but I work with the spirits. For example, I work with the spirits of the east, the guardians of air, the spirits of the north, the guardians of earth, the spirits of the west, the guardians of water, and the spirits of the south, guardians of fire, or the watchtowers of those particular quarters. And I do personally build a relationship, cultivate a relationship with each of the elements or the spirits and the guardians of that particular direction or element. It differs, though, from the relationship that I have with my deities. And I was thinking about this, and I think the reason is that when I think about the guardians of that element, I think of it more as, I guess, a sibling relationship. If I'm going to compare it to a family, I feel like my god and goddess, which is Thoth and Isis, they're like my parents. And the spirits or the guardians of the elements are more like my siblings. And I tend to, when I'm doing ritual or holding ritual, I tend to personify my god and goddess or deity. I tend to bring it down to a more intimate level in the way that I relate. But when when I'm working with the spirits or the guardians of the elements, I find it is more of who I am. So I sort of relate myself to the elements and then sort of personify God and Goddess. So in looking at my relationship to God and Goddess, I generally do have offerings and gifts. But when working with the elements, the spirits or the guardians of the elements, I do not. And I feel like it's because it's easier, or it is because those elements or the spirits or the guardians of the elements I see in an everyday representation here on the physical plane in its form. So in its truest form, meaning in a true physical form, meaning that I can go outside and I can walk on the ground and I see and I relate to the element of earth. I can take a shower and I see and I relate and align myself with the element of water. I go outside on a day when the wind's blowing and I can feel or see the element of air. And fire, I just light my candle. Where for me to sort of get the feeling of my relationship with God and Goddess, it's not as easy as that. And I don't think easy is the word I want to use, but that's the one that's coming to mind. I'm not saying that the relationship I have with the spirits and guardians of the elements is any less valid or important or sacred. I just find it's easier for me to shift and align myself with the vibrations of the elements because I am surrounded by their physical manifestation every day. Now, this does not mean I'm not surrounded by the physical manifestation of God and Goddess, because I do recognize that I am a physical representation of God and Goddess, but I feel like that understanding is a little more profound than understanding the relationship that I have with the elements. I am a physical manifestation of those elements. My body is those elements. Yes, my body is also God and Goddess, but I guess it's a little more challenging to actually visualize that within me, where it's very simple for me to visualize the elements. So I think that's why I don't give offerings, okay? I do not just simply call the spirits and guardians just for circle. Like I said, I recognize and I feel like I work with the spirits and guardians on a daily basis. I give recognition and I acknowledge their presence and my interaction with them on a daily basis. Not that I don't with God and Goddess, it's just different. The relationship is different. Even though I do understand that everything is energy and we ultimately all boil down to energy, whether it's the spirits of the elements or the guardians of the elements or deity or myself or you who are watching my videos or the camera that I'm using to take this video, we are all one, and the understanding of us as separate is an illusion. I recognize that, but I also recognize that we are on a physical plane of existence and we are living a physical life and experience where the elements for me are clearly seen and experienced on the physical plane, and I feel like sometimes there's a little more searching for that connection to deity. It's not as quick or as easily to shift into that for some people. And even for me, I feel like my relationship with the elements or the spirit or the guardians of the elements is more, like I said, of a sibling relationship where deity or God and Goddess are more like mother and father. The quick answers is yes, I do work to get to know these beings or these spiritual elementals on a personal level. I do take personal action to build this relationship with them. I don't give them gifts or offerings, and I don't just call them for circle. I work with them more on a daily basis. So that's my thoughts and opinions on the topic. I'm interested to know what you guys have to say about this. If you want to make a video and do end up making a video, make sure you give me a link so I can watch it. I'm sure Rob would be interested in watching your responses as well, since he has sort of sparked this conversation. And as always, I love you. Mwah.